At Denver International Airport, my son said to me, "Just wait here, Mom. We'll grab the luggage and check in. Be right back." 35 minutes later, I was still sitting there on that cold metal bench. I had no suitcase with me. I had no passport either. They had taken everything. I felt like I was being erased. But they didn't know that this morning, March 15th, 2024, I hadn't taken the little blue pill they gave me. And for the first time in 6 months, my mind was terrifyingly clear. Clear enough to realize the truth. My family wasn't coming back. My name is Estela Rivera. I'm 68 years old. I'm a widow, a mother, a grandmother, and until this morning, I thought I was losing my mind to dementia. I was wrong. I wasn't sick. I was being poisoned. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just my story. It's a warning. It's about trust, family, and the monsters who hide behind loving smiles at your dinner table. This story contains real awareness blended with narrative elements for impact, but the lessons about vigilance and elder abuse matter beyond any single case. Now let me take you back to where it all began. It was 7:35 a.m. when I watched them disappear through those sliding glass doors. Adrian, my son, 43 years old, wearing that navy jacket I'd bought him for Christmas. Maribel, my daughter-in-law, beautiful, composed, her black hair pulled into a perfect bun. And Sophia, my granddaughter, 15 years old with her father's eyes and her mother's grace. They walked into the terminal pulling 3 rolling suitcases behind them. 3 suitcases, not 4. I sat on the bench outside the United Airlines departures area, my hands folded in my lap, my worn cardigan wrapped tight against the March wind. Around me, Denver International Airport pulsed with morning chaos. Taxis honking, travelers rushing, automated announcements echoing across the concrete canyon. But I sat perfectly still, waiting. Adrian had been so clear. "Just stay here, Mom. The lines are crazy inside. We'll get everything checked in and come right back for you. 5 minutes tops." I'd nodded, smiled, said okay, because for 6 months I'd been trained to smile and nod when I didn't understand, when I couldn't remember, when the fog in my head made everything soft and distant and wrong. But this morning was different. This morning I'd made a choice that might save my life or destroy what was left of my family. I didn't take the pill. The little blue oval tablet that Maribel handed me every morning with a glass of water and that patient, pitying smile. "For your memory, Estela, Dr. Anderson says you need to take it every day. It'll help slow the progression." "The progression of what?" I'd stopped asking. "Dementia," she said. "Early onset Alzheimer's," she said. "Just like my mother had," she said. "Except my mother never had Alzheimer's. She died of pneumonia at 79 with her mind sharp as a knife." I looked down at my purse, a small brown leather bag William had given me on our 30th anniversary, 3 years before he died. Inside, I felt for my wallet. Empty. No credit cards, no driver's license, no insurance cards. My phone. I pulled it out. 11% battery. I'd forgotten to charge it last night. Or had I? The last 6 months were a blur of forgotten things. Forgotten names, forgotten conversations, forgotten days that melted into each other like watercolors in rain. I checked my recent calls. The last one was from 2 days ago. Maribel telling me to pack light for our family trip to Cape Town. 3 weeks in South Africa, she'd said. Beautiful weather, wonderful care facilities where I could rest while they explored. Care facilities. The words echoed now with new meaning. 5 minutes became 10. 10 became 15. I stood up, my knees protesting. I'm not old. 68 is not old. But 6 months of sleeping 14 hours a day had made my body soft and unreliable. I walked closer to the sliding doors, peering inside. The terminal stretched before me, all polished floors and high ceilings and fluorescent brightness. Check-in counters on the left. Security lines on the right. Departure boards flickering overhead with destinations I'd never see. No sign of my family. 20 minutes. A cold thread of worry began to wind through my chest, tightening with each breath. I stepped inside, the noise hitting me immediately. Announcements, conversations, the beep of boarding passes being scanned. I moved toward the United check-in counters, scanning the lines. Not there. I turned toward the security checkpoint. A long, snaking line of passengers removing shoes, laptops out, shuffling forward toward the TSA agents in their blue uniforms. Somewhere beyond those agents, past the point where only ticketed passengers could go, were Adrian and Maribel and Sophia. 25 minutes. My pulse started to climb. And then I saw something, a detail so small I almost missed it, but my newly clear mind caught it and held it up like evidence. The luggage cart near where we'd parked, the place where Adrian had pulled our suitcases from the trunk of his silver Lexus. I remembered standing there, remembered Adrian's hand on my shoulder, remembered his voice saying, "Just a quick trip, Mom. You'll love it." I remembered him pulling suitcases from the trunk. His black roller bag, Maribel's matching set, 2 pieces, Sophia's pink backpack and small duffel, but not mine. My blue hardshell suitcase, the one I'd packed yesterday with Maribel's help, filled with comfortable clothes and my medication bottles and the photograph of William I always traveled with. That suitcase was still in the trunk. They hadn't brought it inside. The realization hit like cold water. They never planned to check it, because they never planned to take me. 30 minutes. My hands started to shake. I walked quickly back outside, my breath coming short and sharp. The curb where Adrian had parked was empty now. A shuttle had taken the spot. But I remembered exactly where we'd stood. Remembered Adrian popping the trunk. Remembered the sound of wheels on pavement. 3 suitcases, not 4. And my passport. This morning, while I was getting dressed, Maribel had asked for it. "Let me keep all our documents together, Estella, so we don't lose anything at the airport. You know how confused you get in busy places." I'd handed it over. My passport, my identity, my ability to prove who I was. She never gave it back. The world tilted. I stood there on the sidewalk as the wind cut through my cardigan, and I felt the truth settle over me like a shroud. They'd left me. My son, my daughter-in-law, my granddaughter. They'd walked into that terminal, checked their bags, passed through security, and planned to board a plane to South Africa. Without me. No, not without me. Instead of me. Let me tell you how I got here. How a woman who raised a son, who was married for 42 years, who managed a household budget and volunteered at the library and never once forgot where she parked her car, how that woman became someone who couldn't remember what day it was. It started in July of 2023. I was 68 years old, nearly 3 years after William passed in June of 2021. I'd grieved hard, but was finally finding my footing again. I'd sold our big house in Cherry Creek and moved into a smaller craftsman bungalow on Vine Street. Manageable, just me. I had my routines. Coffee at sunrise, walks around Cheeseman Park, book club every Thursday with my friend Diane Thompson and the girls from the neighborhood. I was doing okay, until I forgot how to get home from the King Soopers on 6th Avenue. It was a Tuesday afternoon, July 18th, 2023. I'd driven that route 1,000 times. Literally 1,000 times. It was my grocery store, 5 minutes from my house. But that day, I got in my car with my bags in the trunk, and I couldn't remember which way to turn. Left or right? I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes, my heart pounding, trying to remember. Finally, I turned left. Wrong. I ended up on Colfax Avenue, completely disoriented, pulled into a gas station, and called Adrian. He came to get me. Left work early, drove across town, found me sitting in my car crying. "Mom," he said, his face pale with worry. "What happened?" "I don't know," I whispered. I couldn't remember. That was the first time I saw him and Maribel exchange that look. The one married couples share when they're having a conversation without words. "We need to get you checked out," Maribel said gently. She was already living with Adrian then, married 3 years, and she worked as a nurse at Porter Hospital. ICU, 10 years of experience. She knew about medicine, about aging, about when something was seriously wrong. "It's probably nothing," I said. "Just stress. I'm still adjusting to being alone." "Or it could be early dementia," Maribel said quietly. "Estella, I see this all the time at the hospital. The sooner we catch it, the better we can manage it." The word dementia hung in the air like smoke. I thought about calling Dr. Robert Hayes, our family physician for 20 years, the man who'd treated William's high blood pressure and Sophia's childhood ear infections. But Maribel was a medical professional herself. Surely she knew best. Within a week, I'd started sleeping more. 12 hours. 14. I'd wake up groggy, disoriented, unable to remember if it was morning or evening. By August, I'd forgotten Sophia's birthday, my own granddaughter. She turned 15 on August 3rd, and I didn't remember until Maribel reminded me the next day. The guilt was crushing. "It's okay, Grandma," Sophia had said when I called to apologize, her voice small. "You're not feeling well." But it wasn't okay. What kind of grandmother forgets her only grandchild's birthday? In late August, Maribel told me she'd made an appointment with a specialist. Dr. Patricia Anderson, a neurologist who specialized in geriatric cognitive disorders. "When's the appointment?" I asked. "You already went," Maribel said, her voice patient. "Last Tuesday. You don't remember?" I didn't remember. Maribel explained that doctor. Anderson had run tests, cognitive assessments, brain scans, blood work. The results pointed to early-stage Alzheimer's disease. "She prescribed medication," Maribel said, pulling a pill bottle from her purse. Except it wasn't a labeled prescription bottle. It was a small, unmarked container with blue oval tablets inside. "One every morning. It won't cure it, but it'll slow the progression. Help you keep your memories a little longer." I took the first pill on September 1st, 2023. That's when the real fog began. September blurred into October. October into November. I stopped driving. "Too dangerous," Adrian said. I stopped going to book club. I couldn't follow the conversations anymore. Couldn't remember which book we were reading. Diane called a few times, worried. Maribel always answered, always said I was resting, always promised I'd call back later. I never did. Or maybe I tried and forgot. By November, I was sleeping 16 hours a day. The hours I was awake, I spent in a gray haze where nothing felt quite real. I'd sit in my living room and not remember getting there. I'd find meals in front of me and not remember making them. "Maribel made you lunch," Adrian would say. "Remember? She was just here." I didn't remember. Maribel had started coming over every day, sometimes twice a day, bringing food, bringing my medication, smiling that patient, pitying smile. "How are you feeling today, Estella?" "Tired." "That's normal. The disease makes you tired. Just rest." In December, I tried to write things down. I found an old notebook in my sewing basket, a little spiral-bound thing I'd used years ago for quilting patterns. I hid it under the cushion of my reading chair and wrote whenever I was alone. December 10th, 2023. Something is wrong. I'm not myself. I'm sleeping all the time. Can't think clearly. Is this really Alzheimer's? December 18th, 2023. Asked to see Dr. Anderson today. Maribel said she'd get me the address. Still waiting. December 27th, 2023. William used to say trust your gut. My gut says something's wrong. But then I'd take my morning pill, and the fog would roll back in, and I'd forget I'd ever had doubts. By January 2024, I was barely functioning. Adrian had started coming over more too, helping Maribel with my care. They talked about me like I wasn't in the room. "She's declining fast," Maribel said one evening. I was sitting in my chair, half asleep, but I heard her. "We need to think about next steps." "Like what?" Adrian sounded stressed. He always sounded stressed now. "Long-term care. There are facilities that specialize in Alzheimer's patients. She can't live alone much longer." "I can't afford that," Adrian said. "Do you know what those places cost?" "We'll figure it out," Maribel said. And then quieter. "We have options." In February, Maribel mentioned South Africa. "There's a wonderful care facility near Cape Town," she said brightly, showing me pictures on her phone. "Beautiful buildings, garden views, smiling staff. It's a fraction of the cost of American facilities, and we could visit you, make it a family trip." I stared at the pictures, trying to understand. "You want to send me to South Africa?" "Not send," Maribel corrected gently. "Take you. We'd all go together, get you settled, make sure you're comfortable." "I don't want to go to South Africa," I said. At least I think I said it. Or maybe I just thought it, and the words never made it out through the fog. 3 weeks ago, Maribel told me the trip was booked. March 15th, 3 weeks in Cape Town. "Pack light," she said. "Comfortable clothes. We'll buy anything else you need when we're there." Yesterday, March 14th, she helped me pack. I watched from my bed as she folded my clothes into my blue suitcase. I tried to help, but she waved me off. "Just rest, Estella. I've got this." She packed my medication bottles, my comfortable shoes. a sweater for the plane. But she didn't pack the photograph of William, the one I always traveled with, the one from our anniversary in Santa Fe, both of us squinting in the sun, his arm around my shoulders. "Don't you think I should bring William's picture?" I asked. Maribel looked at me with surprise. "William? Estella, honey, William passed away, do you remember?" Of course I remembered. How could I forget my own husband's death? But the way she looked at me, that mix of pity and concern, made me doubt myself, made me feel crazy. "I know he passed," I said quietly. "I just wanted his picture." "Let's keep things simple," Maribel said, zipping the suitcase closed. "You don't want to carry too much." This morning, March 15th, started differently. I woke at 6 a.m. to the sound of a robin singing outside my bedroom window. The house on Vine Street has old single-pane windows, and in early spring you can hear everything: birds, traffic, the world waking up. I lay there listening, and for the first time in months, my mind felt clear. Not the usual gray fog, not the thick, suffocating confusion that made every thought move through molasses. Clear. I looked at the ceiling, at the crack in the plaster I'd been meaning to fix for 2 years, and I thought, when did I stop being myself? The pill organizer sat on my nightstand. Maribel had filled it last Sunday. 7 days, each compartment labeled with the day and time: morning, noon, evening, night. Friday's morning slot held the familiar blue oval tablet. I picked it up, rolling it between my fingers. "For your memory," Maribel always said, to slow the progression. But what if it wasn't helping? What if it was making things worse? The thought was so clear, so sharp, it startled me. What if I just didn't take it? I stared at that pill for 5 full minutes. Then I slipped it into the pocket of my nightgown and got out of bed. Downstairs, the smell of coffee and breakfast already filled the kitchen. Maribel was at the stove, making scrambled eggs, looking fresh and put together in dark jeans and a cream sweater. Adrian sat at the table, scrolling through his phone, his face tight with stress. Sophia was there too, dressed for the trip in leggings and an oversized hoodie, her dark hair in a ponytail. When she saw me, her eyes got shiny. "Morning, Grandma," she said, her voice catching. "Morning, sweetheart." Maribel turned, smile bright. "Estella, good morning. Big day. Did you take your pill?" The question came so naturally, so casually, but I felt its weight. "Yes," I lied. It was the first time I'd lied to her in 6 months, maybe the first time I'd been clear-headed enough to lie. Maribel's eyes held mine for a beat too long, searching. Then she smiled. "Good. We can't have you confused on the trip. Come eat." I sat down. Adrian barely looked up from his phone. Sophia pushed her eggs around her plate. "Everyone excited?" Maribel asked, too brightly. "Yeah," Adrian muttered. Sophia said nothing. I ate my eggs slowly. With each bite, I felt my head clearing more, like a radio dial tuning from static to signal. Thoughts that had been fuzzy for months suddenly sharp. I looked at Sophia. "Honey, what are you most excited to see in Cape Town?" She glanced at her mother, then back to me. Table Mountain?" "That'll be beautiful," I said. "We should take lots of pictures." "Right," Sophia said quietly. "Pictures." Something in her voice made me look closer. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. "Sophia, are you okay?" "She's just tired," Maribel cut in. "We all got up early. Everyone finish eating. We need to leave in 20 minutes. In the car, Adrian drove. Maribel took the passenger seat. Sophia and I sat in back. As we pulled onto I-25 heading toward Pena Boulevard, toward the airport, I watched Denver slide past the window, the skyline, the Platte River, streets I'd known for decades. My mind kept getting clearer, and with clarity came memory. I remembered William's last 2 weeks, how he'd slept so much, how Maribel had moved into our guest room to help out because I was overwhelmed with caregiving, how she'd made his meals, managed his medication, sat with him while I ran errands, how he'd died suddenly of a heart attack on June 14th, 2021. Massive coronary, the doctor said. Nothing anyone could have done. Maribel had been with him when it happened. She called 911, performed CPR, did everything right. And 2 months later, she convinced Adrian to add her name to his father's life insurance beneficiary list. "Just in case," she'd said. "We're family now." The insurance had paid out $450,000. I stared out the window as we merged onto Pena Boulevard, the airport visible in the distance. What if William wasn't sick? The thought came unbidden, unwelcome, impossible. What if the pills Maribel gave him were the same pills she's been giving you? Grandma? Sophia's voice soft beside me. Are you okay? I looked at her. 15 years old. William's eyes. I'm okay, sweetheart, I said. I reached into my cardigan pocket, felt the blue pill still there. Proof. Evidence. The thing that might save me or prove I was crazy. We pulled up to the departures terminal at 7:30 a.m. Adrian put the car in park, turned to look at me. Okay, Mom, you stay here on this bench while we grab the bags and check in. We'll be right back. How long? I asked. 5 minutes, he said. 10 tops. Just sit tight. Maribel leaned over, kissed my cheek. Her perfume, something expensive and floral, filled my nose. We'll handle everything, Estella. You just rest. They got out. Adrian popped the trunk. I watched through the rear window as he pulled out luggage. 1, 2, 3 bags. Not 4. My blue suitcase stayed in the trunk. Adrian, I called out, but he was already closing the trunk, already turning toward the terminal. Maribel took Sophia's arm, guiding her toward the doors. Sophia looked back at me, and I saw it on her face. Fear. Then they were gone, swallowed by the sliding glass doors. And I was alone. I sat on that bench for 15 minutes before I admitted to myself what was happening. They weren't coming back. My phone was at 11% battery. My hands shook as I opened the browser and typed into Google, blue oval pill sedative. The results loaded slowly. Images appeared. Pills identical to the one in my pocket. I clicked on the first result. Zolpidem 10 mg plus lorazepam 2 mg combination tablet. Common use. Severe insomnia. Sedation before medical procedures. Side effects. Drowsiness, confusion, memory impairment, difficulty with coordination, excessive sleep. Warning, not recommended for long-term use. Can cause dependence, cognitive decline, and severe memory loss. Not Alzheimer's medication. Sedatives. I'd been taking sedatives every day for 6 months. That's why I was so tired. Why I couldn't remember anything. Why I slept 16 hours a day and couldn't think straight and forgot my own granddaughter's birthday. Not because I had dementia, because Maribel was drugging me. My vision blurred. The phone nearly slipped from my shaking hands. Why? I stood up on unsteady legs and walked into the terminal. The noise and brightness felt overwhelming after months of fog, but I forced myself to move. The United Airlines check-in counter. A woman in a blue uniform looked up as I approached. Can I help you, ma'am? My son, I said, my voice hoarse. Adrian Rivera, did he check in for the Cape Town flight? She typed on her computer. Yes, flight UA 2047 departing at 10:45 a.m., checked in at 7:42. How many passengers? She checked. 3. Adrian Rivera, Maribel Rivera, Sophia Rivera. 3, not 4. Ma'am, are you all right? The agent's face showed concern. You look pale. Do you need to sit down? I pulled out my phone with trembling fingers. I need to make a call. I found the number I needed, saved under Wells Fargo Bank. The automated system answered. I navigated through the menus, finally reaching a human. Wells Fargo, this is Michael. How can I help you? This is Estella Rivera. Account ending in 7243. I need to check my balance. One moment while I pull up your account. Pause. Typing sounds. Then, Mrs. Rivera, your current balance is $45,218. My stomach dropped. That can't be right. I should have $127,000. Let me check the transaction history. More typing. I'm showing multiple withdrawals over the past 6 months. The most recent was yesterday, $45,000 withdrawn by the joint account holder. What joint account holder? Adrian Rivera. He was added to your account on September 3rd, 2023. Do you not remember authorizing this? September 3rd, 2 days after I started taking the pills. No, I don't remember. The authorization has your signature, Mrs. Rivera. Is there a problem? My signature. Of course they had my signature. They'd had 6 months to forge it, copy it, use it while I was too drugged to notice. $82,000. Gone. Mrs. Rivera, are you still there? I'm being robbed, I whispered. My son is stealing from me. Ma'am, I'm going to transfer you to our fraud department. My phone died. Battery 0%. The screen went black. I stood in the middle of Denver International Airport. No passport, no money, no way home, and no family coming back for me. They'd planned this. All of it. Drug me for 6 months until I seemed incompetent. Add Adrian's name to my accounts. Slowly drain my money. Then bring me to the airport with a story about a family trip and abandon me here, confused and alone. Fly to South Africa, place me in some cheap facility, and in 6 months, Maribel's words from that overheard conversation echoed. We can pull the plug. Natural causes. By the time anyone realized what happened, I'd be dead, and my estate would be theirs. $1.2 million. That's what William left me. The house, the insurance, the savings we'd built over 42 years of marriage. And they wanted all of it. I stumbled toward a bench, my legs giving out. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. William. Had they done this to him too? Had Maribel drugged him, weakened him, then finished the job with something that looked like a heart attack? A woman sat down beside me. She wore scrubs, probably a nurse or doctor coming off a shift. Ma'am, are you okay? You don't look well. I turned to her. I need help, I said. My family just left me here. They're stealing from me. I need help. She put a hand on my arm. Okay, take a breath. Let's get you to airport security. Can you walk? Yes. She helped me up, led me through the terminal to a door marked Airport Security, authorized personnel only. She knocked. An officer opened it. Tall, maybe 45, with military bearing and kind eyes. His name tag read, Barrett. Kevin, this woman needs help, the nurse said. Officer Barrett looked at me, taking in my pale face, my shaking hands, my obvious distress. Ma'am, come in, sit down, tell me what's wrong. I sat in a chair in the small office. The nurse squeezed my shoulder and left, and I told him everything. The pills, the fog, the missing luggage and passport, the stolen money, the 3 tickets instead of 4. When I finished, I reached into my cardigan pocket and pulled out the blue tablet. This, I said, my voice steady now with fury, is what they've been poisoning me with for 6 months. Not Alzheimer's medication. Sedatives. They drugged me, stole from me, and tried to abandon me here so I'd die in some foreign facility while they took everything my husband and I built. Officer Barrett's jaw tightened. He picked up his phone. This is Barrett at DIA. I need Denver PD Elder Abuse Unit and Airport Medical. Possible chemical abuse and financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. I also need TSA to monitor Flight UA 2047 to Cape Town. We may have suspects attempting to board. He hung up and looked at me. Mrs. Rivera, you did the right thing by coming here. We're going to help you. But I need you to answer one question honestly. Anything. That pill in your hand, did you take it this morning? No, I said. For the first time in 6 months, I didn't take it. And that's the only reason I'm sitting here right now instead of unconscious on that bench. He nodded slowly. Then you saved your own life. Within minutes, a paramedic arrived. A woman in her 40s who introduced herself as Julie Chen. She took my blood pressure, elevated, checked my vitals, asked me questions about the pills. We need to test your blood, she said. If you've been taking sedatives daily for 6 months, we'll find traces. That's evidence. Do it, I said. Barrett made another call. Detective Brennan? It's Kevin Barrett at DIA. I've got a situation you need to see. 20 minutes later, a woman in her 50s walked into the security office. She had salt and pepper hair pulled back, sharp gray eyes, and the bearing of someone who'd seen every kind of human cruelty. I'm Detective Sarah Brennan, Denver PD Elder Abuse Unit, she said. She sat down across from me. Officer Barrett briefed me. Tell me everything from the beginning. I told my story again. As I spoke, Brennan took notes, asked clarifying questions, her expression growing darker with each detail. Do you have the pill? She asked. I handed it to her. She examined it, then dropped it into an evidence bag. We'll test this. If it's what you say it is, that's evidence of chemical abuse. She looked at me. Mrs. Rivera, this is serious. What your family did, drugging you, stealing from you, planning to abandon you, these are crimes. Are you willing to press charges? Yes. Good. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling TSA right now. She dialed, identified herself. This is Detective Brennan, Denver PD Elder Abuse Unit, badge 4721. I need you to detain 3 passengers before they board flight UA 2047 to Cape Town. Adrian Rivera, Maribel Rivera, and Sophia Rivera. Possible conspiracy to commit elder abuse and fraud. Do not let them board that plane. She hung up and looked at me. Your family won't be going to South Africa today. And then the door burst open. A teenage girl stood there, breathing hard, tears streaming down her face. A TSA supervisor was with her. She was trying to exit the secure area, the supervisor said. Set off every alarm. Said she needed to find her grandmother. Said it was an emergency. Grandma! Sophia ran to me, collapsed into my arms, sobbing. I couldn't do it, she cried. I couldn't get on that plane. I couldn't leave you. I held my granddaughter and felt something inside me break open, not with despair, but with hope. Because if Sophia came back, it meant I wasn't alone. It meant someone believed me. Detective Brennan stepped forward. Sophia, is it? Sophia pulled back, nodding, wiping her eyes. I need you to tell me exactly what you heard your parents say. Can you do that? Sophia looked at me. I nodded. She took a shuddering breath. Last night, I woke up to use the bathroom. Mom and Dad's door was cracked open. They were talking. She wiped her face. Dad said, once we're in Cape Town, the lawyer will process the guardianship papers. She'll be in a facility before anyone notices. And Mom said, her voice broke. After 6 months, we can pull the plug. Natural causes. No one will question an old woman dying in care. Officer Barrett's expression went cold. Are you willing to testify to this? Yes, Sophia said. They were going to kill her. My own parents were going to kill my grandma. Brennan looked at Barrett. That's conspiracy to commit murder. TSA needs to detain them immediately, not just monitor. Barrett made the call. At gate B17, Adrian and Maribel were standing in the boarding line when TSA officers and Denver police surrounded them. They brought Adrian and Maribel to separate interrogation rooms. I didn't see Maribel. Brennan said she'd lawyered up immediately, refused to say a word. But Adrian asked to see me. 2 days later, I sat across from my son in a sterile room at Denver County Jail. He looked like he'd aged 10 years, unshaven, hollow-eyed, orange jumpsuit hanging loose on his frame. When he saw me, he started crying. Mom, he whispered, I'm so sorry. Detective Brennan stood by the door. Adrian's public defender, a young woman named Rachel Cooper, sat beside him. Tell me why, I said. My voice was calm, steady. Adrian wiped his face with his sleeve. I was drowning, financially drowning. I lost my job in November, got laid off. I had $400,000 in debt from bad cryptocurrency investments. The house was going into foreclosure. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was ashamed. I'm your son. I'm supposed to take care of you, not ask you for money. And Maribel, she was so confident. She said she had a plan. What plan? She said you had dementia, said you were getting worse and would need full-time care soon anyway. She showed me research about facilities in South Africa, cheaper than American care homes, good quality. She said we could use your estate to pay off my debts and still have enough to keep you comfortable for years. So you agreed to drug me? No, I didn't know about the drugs, Mom. I swear. Maribel said Dr. Anderson prescribed them. She's a nurse. I trusted her. You trusted her enough to steal from me. He flinched. She added my name to your account in September. Said it was practical so I could help manage your bills when you got too confused. I didn't know she was planning to drain it. $45,000, Adrian. The day before you planned to abandon me. I thought we were taking you with us. I thought the 4th ticket was coming separately. I didn't know until we were at the gate that... He stopped, sobbing. Brennan spoke from the doorway. When did you realize Maribel was planning to kill your mother? Adrian looked up. 3 days before the trip. I was looking for my passport and I found pills in her office. No labels. I looked them up. Sedatives. And then I found a life insurance policy she'd taken out on me. $750,000. The room went quiet. That's when I knew, Adrian whispered. She was going to kill you. Get the estate. Then kill me and collect the insurance. I was next. Why didn't you go to the police? Brennan asked. Because I was already guilty. I'd signed papers to add my name to Mom's account. I'd agreed to the Cape Town plan. If I turned Maribel in, I'd go to prison too. Brennan crossed her arms. Adrian, the DA is willing to offer a deal. You testify against Maribel, fully, completely everything you know, and we reduce charges. 5 years instead of 20. Adrian looked at his lawyer. She nodded. Take the deal. He turned to me. Mom, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but she killed Dad. She tried to kill you. Please, let me make this right. I stood slowly. I don't forgive you, Adrian. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I need you to testify. For Sophia, for William, for everyone Maribel has hurt. I will, he said. I'll tell them everything. I walked to the door, then paused. Sophia needs her father. Not now, but someday. So you use these 5 years. You become the man your daughter deserves. While Adrian was being processed, Detective Brennan's investigation uncovered something that made my blood run cold. Maribel had been married before. His name was David Mitchell. He died in 2015 of cardiac arrest at age 52. Maribel was his ICU nurse at the time. She collected $300,000 in life insurance. Brennan brought me into her office, showed me the file. I've requested exhumation of David Mitchell's remains. If we find evidence of foul play, it establishes a pattern. She's done this before, I said. It wasn't a question. I believe so. I also believe she killed your husband. The words hung in the air. We're petitioning to exhume William's body as well. If Maribel injected him with potassium chloride, as we suspect with David Mitchell, there may still be evidence in the tissue. I closed my eyes. Do it. The next day, I got a call from Dr. Robert Hayes. He'd received my blood work results. Estella, high levels of lorazepam and zolpidem in your system, consistent with daily use over 6 months. This isn't dementia. This is deliberate chemical abuse. I'm documenting everything for Detective Brennan. Thank you, Robert. Estella, I'm so sorry. If I'd seen you myself instead of trusting Maribel's word about Dr. Anderson, you couldn't have known, I said. She's very good at manipulation. That night, Sophia came to stay with me at Diane Thompson's house in Littleton. Diane, my best friend for 40 years, had opened her home immediately when she heard what happened. I knew something was wrong, Diane said, hugging me tight. When you stopped answering my calls, when Maribel kept saying you were sleeping, I should have pushed harder. You couldn't have known either, I said. Sophia helped me settle into the guest room. As we unpacked my few belongings, Brennan had retrieved some things from my house. Sophia said quietly, Grandma, I went back to the house last night. I turned. You what? I needed to get something. Evidence. I found Mom's office unlocked. She pulled out her phone, showed me photographs, medical files, forged prescriptions with a fake Dr. Anderson's signature, financial documents showing the money stolen from my accounts, and then a life insurance policy on Adrian. $750,000, beneficiary Maribel Rivera, dated January 2024. She was going to kill Dad too, Sophia whispered. Did your mother see you? No, but... Sophia's face went pale. I heard her come home. I hid in the closet. She made a phone call. Sophia played a recording on her phone. Maribel's voice, cold and clinical. David was easy. Potassium chloride in his IV. Heart attack at 52, nobody questioned it. I'll handle it. Same way I handled William. I sat down heavily. William, my William. Murdered. That's a confession, Diane said, her voice shaking. That's proof. We gave everything to Detective Brennan the next morning. 1 week later, Brennan called with her plan. We need Maribel's confession on record. Sophia's recording helps, but her lawyer will argue it was taken without consent. We need something ironclad. She explained. I would call Maribel, pretend to be confused, ask her to come to Diane's house. The house would be wired. SWAT would be outside. You want me as bait, I said. We'll keep you safe. But yes. I looked at Sophia. Her face was pale, terrified. I can do this, I said. For William. That night, I made the call. Maribel answered on the second ring, her voice warm and concerned. Estella? Oh my God, where are you? I've been so worried. I made my voice tremulous. I'm at Diane's house. Maribel, I don't understand what happened. Why am I here? Sweetheart, you got confused at the airport. The police found you. You haven't had your medication in over a week. Can you come get me? I don't want to be a burden. Of course, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, everything's going to be fine. The next morning, Diane's living room looked normal, but cameras hid in the bookshelf, microphones in the smoke detectors, a panic button under the coffee table. At exactly 10 a.m., Maribel knocked. Diane answered. They came into the living room. Maribel sat beside me, pulled pills from her medical bag. Here, Estella, take 2. You'll feel better. I stared at the pills. What are they for again? Your memory, doctor. Anderson prescribed them. I dropped the confused act. There is no Dr. Anderson, is there? Maribel went very still. Then her mask slipped away. You didn't take the pill at the airport. No. She stood, closed the door. Smart. Smarter than I gave you credit for. What did you give William? Potassium chloride. Quick. Looks like a heart attack. Her voice was clinical. Same thing I gave David. Why kill people for money? And then Maribel's face transformed with fury. Because I earned it. Do you know what it's like working ICU for 30 years? Making $65,000 a year while people like you sit on money you didn't earn? You just married well and outlived your husband. She pulled a syringe from her bag. Potassium chloride. Your heart will stop in 90 seconds. She moved toward me. I backed up. You won't get away with this. Who's going to stop me? I will, I said. Then, for the signal. William loved me. William trusted me. William would want me to fight. The door exploded inward. Police! Drop the weapon! SWAT flooded the room. Maribel spun, syringe raised. An officer tackled her. Detective Brennan walked in with a recording device. Maribel Rivera, you're under arrest for the murders of David Mitchell and William Rivera and the attempted murder of Estella Rivera. We have your full confession. Maribel's face went white. As they led her out in handcuffs, she looked at me with pure hatred. You were supposed to be easy. I survived, I said. You lost. 6 months later, September 2024, the trial concluded. I sat in Denver District Court as Judge Margaret Hawthorne read the verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant, Maribel Rivera, guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder, elder abuse, fraud, and conspiracy. The exhumation results had been damning. Both David Mitchell and William showed evidence of potassium chloride injection. Medical experts testified that Maribel, with her ICU training, knew exactly how to kill someone and make it look natural. Adrian testified fully, describing the financial plan, the drugging, the Cape Town facility. His voice broke when he talked about finding the life insurance policy on himself. Sophia testified about the recording, about what she'd heard the night before the airport. And I testified about 6 months of fog, of being erased by someone I'd trusted. Judge Hawthorne prepared to sentence. Maribel Rivera, in my 20 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such calculated cruelty. You murdered 2 innocent men for profit. You attempted to murder a 3rd victim. You showed no remorse. She looked directly at Maribel. I hereby sentence you to life in prison without possibility of parole for each count of murder, to be served consecutively. You will spend the rest of your life in prison. The gavel came down. As guards led Maribel away, she looked at me one last time. Empty, cold, defeated, then she was gone. 1 year later, March 2025, I stood at a podium in the Denver Community Center. 200 faces looked back at me. Survivors, advocates, people who needed to know they weren't alone. Behind me, a photograph of William, smiling, alive. My name is Estella Rivera, I began. 1 year ago, my daughter-in-law tried to kill me. She succeeded in killing my husband. I told my story. When I finished, I announced, "Today I'm launching the William Rivera Foundation for Elder Abuse Prevention." The applause was thunderous. Sophia joined me on stage, now 16, planning to study law. My grandmother taught me that strength isn't about never being hurt, she said. It's about fighting back when you are. After the event, Sophia and I drove to Crown Hill Cemetery. I placed flowers at William's grave. "We got her, mi amor," I whispered. "She'll never hurt anyone again." That night, alone in my new apartment, I thought about the blue pill I didn't take. That one small act of defiance that saved my life. I thought about all the others out there, confused, isolated, abused, who might not have someone to fight for them. That's why I tell my story. Because elder abuse thrives in silence, and I refuse to be silent. My name is Estella Rivera. I'm 69 years old. I'm a survivor, and my story is just beginning.